soul of the game is at the Boxing Voice. Ain't no other sight in the game could see the Boxing Voice.
Oh, baby. I need to get Skip Bellis on here because Stephen A. Smith
Hello?
didn't do a good job. Paulie, how you doing, brother? It's Ness from the Boxing Voice.
Yes, what's up, man? How are you?
I'm great, man. First and foremost, I want to say, like I've been telling my listeners for the past two shows, I'm truly happy and proud of where you've come. We got to see you with Lennox Lewis and Roy Jones, two all-time great fighters. And there is Paulie Malignaggi, and that's because you're so honest, which is the reason that I wanted to get you on this show. I know that you've gotten a ton of shit over the past 5 years for your prediction of this fight. And now it's like your vindication. All the trolls, all the haters, they're making new excuses now. Now the excuse is the rotator cuff. And I just want to hear your takes.
Well, I was never really biased about Manny. I was just simply speaking my mind and speaking from my knowledge of boxing about all this stuff. So, maybe it wasn't what people wanted to hear, but unfortunately, I know more than them, and that's kind of how it's going to be when it comes to boxing. Odds are I'm going to know more than the next person, because I've done this for so long and I've studied the sport for so long. But having said that, as far as the excuses are concerned, I don't believe them at all, actually. It's unfortunate that it's come to this point that they're making excuses like this. At the end of the day, you can kind of see the way he's throwing his right hand in the fight, late in the fight especially. He's slinging it in a desperate way. When you have a torn rotator cuff, especially as they put the doctor's quote was, in quotes, severe tear, you can't even lift your arm. You can't even lift your arm, let alone throw punches. Let alone throw punches in a reckless way, which will hurt even more. Let alone miss punches, because it's really going to hurt. So nobody's Superman. Manny Pacquiao's not Superman. At the end of the day, you have that kind of tear, your arm will not lift in that way. He's slinging it like crazy. More so than anything else, though, another thing to observe in the fight, if you go into fights with a pre-existing injury, I have done this. I've gone into fights with broken my hand very early in my career. I used to have broken hands all the time. It's actually one of the reasons I don't have a lot of knockouts on my record with, because those fights I probably would have gotten some stoppages, but I was fighting one-handed. There's always your corner that knows you're going into a fight with a pre-existing injury. They will always check on it because the instructions you're going to receive in the corner are based on what you're physically capable of doing based on the injury. You never hear a single time Freddie Roach ask Manny, how's the shoulder holding up? How are you feeling with the shoulder? If you remember, even Floyd Mayweather hurt his shoulder in training for the first Castillo fight, and people didn't want to buy that excuse. But you can see from round one in that fight, in the first Castillo fight, Floyd goes back to the corner, and they're discussing his shoulder. He told him, rub my shoulder. So at the end of the day, if you go into a fight with a pre-existing injury, there's always that communication with the corner, at least, in the very least, that, you guys are working through the injury during the fight because you have to work in the fight despite an injury. This is a spit in the face to anybody who's gone into fights with injuries. As if Manny Pacquiao had already spit in the face of boxing and fans through the years by refusing drug testing consistently and all the time during his major heyday of his winning ways. As if he didn't spit in the face of boxing enough, he's spitting in the face of boxing more by doing this. He's spitting in the face of every boxer that's actually walked into fights with pre-existing injuries, myself included, and to know the complications that going into fights with pre-existing injuries brings to you. That guy did not have a pre-existing tear. That guy did not tear his arms or his rotator cuff during the fight. You can clearly see it because the eye test always tells you. He is slinging right hands like crazy, even late in the fight in a desperate way. There's no hesitation. The only hesitation there is in that whole fight is because Mayweather's controlling range. He's countering him. He's not allowing him to get into the proper distance for him to get off his combinations. And the rare times Manny did get off and get into a distance where his combinations could be like go, he let them go. I mean, they said the shoulder tore in the third round. First they said he went into it with a pre-existing injury, and they said it tore in the third round. Meantime, Manny's first big four didn't come to the fourth round. So again, I mean, they don't even know what to say. As a matter of fact, before any of this even came out, first he said he thought he won the fight, and that didn't work. He realized how ridiculous that looked in the aftermath, so then he went and invented an injury. Again, if you have a pre-existing injury, there are certain things you're going to look for in a fighter. If I felt he had a pre-existing injury, I would tell you, Lord, listen, man, you can kind of tell. You can always kind of tell. There's nothing in the guy's reactions, the way he fought, the way he reacted afterwards. Nothing tells you this. The way they talked in the corner between rounds, nothing leads to anything about the guy having an injury. The only injury he has is to his ego because he got exposed on Saturday night.
That was epic. The injury was the ego. That was epic. So let me ask you a simple question here. Was there a more intelligent way of trying to spark interest in the casual public and the boxing fans for a rematch, other than going the injury route?
No, he got outclassed. I mean, a lot of guys have been outclassed by Floyd Mayweather. They hate it. You know, I remember the Canelo promotion. You know, a lot of people were hoping that it would be a close fight. It would be a good fight so that they can make a rematch because Canelo sells so much. When Canelo didn't perform the way they needed him to perform, nobody went and invented anything. Nobody went and acted like a sore loser. You know, they just took it and they moved on. You know, Canelo's looked very good ever since. Hey, man, you take it and you move on. That's it. You fought the guy who might be the best possibly, you know, so you take it and you move on. That's just what you do, you know. At the end of the day, you taint, like, you taint your own image, you tainting the sport, like, you know, you got all these morons who are covering this fight that never covered boxing before. You gotta hear all their opinions now. It's moronic. It's from every angle. It's moronic. You got fans who never watch boxing or just Pacquiao fans. Everybody calls them Pactards. I don't like to use those words, but you know they're idiots too. Like they don't know anything. Anything Pacquiao says is like gospel to them. It's a joke. It really is. This is all a PR scam at the end of the day. And I don't even think he's gonna get a rematch because there's really no point to a rematch. He got outclassed, and he'll get outclassed every time. This was the freest money you could ever make. This was better than the stock market. This was better than putting your money on Apple. This was better than any kind of investment property you could buy. Betting Floyd Mayweather at those odds, that you'll never get Floyd Mayweather at those close odds, was the best investment you could make in 2015. Maybe in the past 5 years. It was like handing out free money.
So, Paulie, I got to ask you, did you lay a couple of bucks on Floyd?
I might have.
So now, today...
And if in theory I might have, it would never be a couple of bucks. Because like I said, if in theory I would have put some money on Floyd, it wasn't just going to be a couple of bucks. Because in reality, like I just said, this was the freest money you could ever make.
So now on First Take today, it was Stephen A. Smith days off. They called him in. He did this whole secret interview from a remote location via stream with Skip Bayless. And obviously Skip Bayless said that his man was a one-armed fighter and he deserves a rematch. So Floyd obviously was watching, text Stephen A. Smith and said he would give the rematch either 1 year from now so that Manny could heal, have his surgery and heal because they're asking for a year off, or they could do it 1 year from this September coming up. Would you still be willing to watch it?
You know, I would watch it because anytime you watch Floyd Mayweather fight, you're watching greatness and you're never going to see again. So I'm not going to not watch a Floyd Mayweather fight. Here's the thing. You're rewarding this garbage, though. That's the problem, you know? And I understand even from Floyd's perspective, he wants to always, you know, dignify himself and always make sure that, you know, people know that he's the best and whatnot. My frustration is that you're rewarding this garbage. You know what I mean? You rewarded this garbage by getting him to fight in the first place. Because let's face it, dude. At the end of the day, I'm always going to hold this opinion because there's too many clues that lead to this conclusion. If you would have focused on take the test instead of signing the contract 5 years ago, if you would have put all the pressure on him to take the test, this guy will be somewhere working in a corner store in Manila today. He wouldn't have fought in the biggest fight of his career. You know what I mean? The biggest fight in boxing in this century. You know, this guy would have been long gone already. Long gone. You know, he wouldn't have. Instead, he'd already earned over $100 million on Saturday night. So you reward this kind of person already. You know, we saw the kind of way he performed with random drug testing. We haven't even seen an inkling of power aside from the Algieri fight, which was a solid fighter. But come on, he just got to this level. You know, he wasn't ready for that kind of spectacle. And come on, in reality, you know, now you're going to reward it again. You know, with this baby stuff. I don't know. I feel like you don't reward this kind of you just don't reward this kind of low class type of behavior, man. You know, it's sore loser behavior. It's frustrating to see. And it just looks so bad. And like I said, you're spitting in the face of anybody who's really gotten into fights with pre-existing injuries because in reality, there are fighters that have done so. I mean, what are they going to do? At the end of the day, what are they going to do? They're going to get a doctor. They're going to probably do some uninvasive scope in his shoulder, so that it can make it look like he got surgery. And that's it, bro. I don't believe for a second. There was no tear, bro. The guy wasn't reacting like there was a tear in there. At no point in the fight can you ever realize that there might be a tear. The guy is swinging right hands. He's throwing them so reckless that had there really been a tear, his arm would have fell off. Especially like they said, severe tear. Have you ever a severe tear and you're throwing right hooks so wild, so crazily? You know, especially the times Lester Floyd was spinning it off his left shoulder, and Pacquiao was missing those wild come down right hooks where he was throwing a right hook and he was coming down with it at the same time. Like, you know what it is to miss a punch like that when you got a tear in your shoulder? Come on, man. He was doing it constantly. He wasn't even second guessing the fact that he was throwing the punch. You know what I mean? Oh, come on, bro. This is a joke, man. This is a waste of time. I'm sick of this guy. I'm really sick of it. I'm sick of the whole thing.
Well, Paulie, I know that you're a busy man, so I'm sure you didn't get to watch first take.
You know what else I'm sick of? I'm sick of everybody still buying the BS. That's what I'm sick of. I've been telling you for months. HBO tried to get me off the broadcast. They didn't want me to work the broadcast. They tried so hard because I was biased. And I simply exposed the man for what he is. And I will continue to do it. That's it. It's very simple. Let's move on. There's other fighters who deserve this kind of credit. There's other fighters who deserve the money for the opportunity for the hard work they put in. I'm sick of the BS. I'm sick of it. That's it. And you know what? On Saturday night, I was proven right. The fight was not competitive. The fight was not good. The fight was not worth watching. And Floyd Mayweather was the best investment you can make in the past half decade for sure.
Now, like I said, I know you're busy, so you probably didn't get to watch First Take this morning, but Skip Bayless said that this is the exact same injury, that the MRI proved this is the exact same injury as Kobe Bryant. Now, I don't watch any other sports.
These are all PR stunts. These are all PR stunts. I don't believe it for a second. They're all PR stunts. I want to see a doctor show me the tear. I want to see that it's Manny Pacquiao's shoulder. This is all PR stunts. Again, if it was that bad of a tear, he would not have been able to do the things he was doing in the late rounds, which he was doing nothing except missing punches, but he was throwing them like crazy. You know, he was trying to every time he tried Floyd trapped, he was trying to throw that right hook over the top. He just couldn't land. You know what I mean? I don't care what they say. This is all a PR stunt. And no, I don't watch Skip Bayless in First Take because you get stupider by the minute if you watch that guy talk about boxing. And I don't feel like getting stupider. I feel like I know enough about boxing. I'm not in the mood to get stupider by the day. This guy's on television talking boxing every day, and if you listen to him talk about boxing, you're going to get stupider. You're going to get stupider. Who wants to get stupider? Who needs to get stupider? I don't need to get stupider in my life. So I don't know. I don't listen to him. I don't watch him. I don't need to listen to his opinions on boxing. Like, I don't know anything about it.
All right, my last question before I let you get out of here. There was 15,000 media representatives that applied for this fight. The biggest rumor of the weekend was that ESPN got 200 credentials, but there was a disservice done. Immediately after the fight, a bunch of ESPN spokespeople took to ESPN and said it was Floyd's fault. Floyd ruined the biggest fight of his career. He ran, he held. My thing is, I think this is the same exact performance of Floyd's last 10 years, 10 opponents, without any doubt in my mind. I've seen this song and dance over and over for the last 10 fights. So I'm not displeased with Mayweather's performance because he just did it versus Maidana. He did it versus Canelo and Guerrero and Mosley and et cetera, et cetera. He did nothing different Saturday night, in my opinion. But you as the fighter, do you feel he did do anything different? Do you feel that he did not go for the kill or he was less aggressive?
Well, here's the thing. When you're ahead in the fight, it's not up to you to take the chances. It's up to the other guy to take the chances. But he doesn't know how to. He didn't know how to. You know, I didn't see any of the angles, any of the great footwork in Manny Pacquiao. I didn't see any of the things they were talking about that everybody pretended like he had. You know, I always never knew what people were watching when they watched Manny Pacquiao. The angles, the crazy punches, the this and that. Since he's been drug tested, I didn't see any of it. I didn't see any of it. I'm sorry. I didn't see any of it. And I stayed with it. I said, there's not going to be any angles in the fight. There's not going to be anything. You're not going to see anything special in the fight. This guy's got no angles. He just jumps around left and right. He doesn't even know why he's jumping around half the time. And then he beats, you know, guys who aren't on the Conor McGregor level because he can't fight those guys anymore since he's random drug testing. So Floyd Mayweather was the first guy he fought since those days that's on that level. He was always going to get outclassed. I'm sorry. He was always going to get outclassed. So, and he did. He did. And Floyd Mayweather barely broke a sweat doing it. And I feel like he did it on purpose. I feel like he said, you know what? I'm going to beat this guy that you guys crowned as the guy that's going to beat me. And you guys crowned as the guy that's going to take my all and went through all this whole momentum about it. And I'm going to beat him and barely break a sweat doing it. I'm going to spit in all your faces by doing it this way. And that's exactly what he did. He barely broke a sweat beating this guy, outclassing this guy, making him look like a rank amateur. You know, it's a joke. It's a joke.
Well, Paulie, I want to thank you, as always, for giving us your time. And again, congratulating you for making it to the pinnacle of boxing as an announcer. And I hope that you continue to do that. I've seen you in the corner. I asked you a couple of months ago if you were going to ever train, and now I see you in the corner. And I just feel that you have definitely numerous doors open in boxing to do different things. But commentating is where you deserve to be and where you belong, because, again, we had a disservice with this fight and the commercial media. But at least we got a guy like you that's been in the sport, has suffered injuries, and you know the ins and outs, and you can speak freely, and no one can discredit you because you've been there, done that. Paulie, thank you for your time. It's been awesome, and we appreciate you.
Hey, man, thanks a lot. No, I'm not going to become a trainer. I was just helping my friend Saddam in the corner. I had a kid that I know since he's 10 years old, so I was just I'm giving him my 2 cents in the corner and just trying to be supportive. He's a friend of mine. He's his own man, but I was happy to be in the corner and help him out. And I always wish him luck in the future as well.
You gotta win your next fight, because you know all the hatred from this fight. They're gonna spew it over to your fight. So you got to take care of O'Connor.
I intend to win. Don't worry, I'll be ready for the fight, man. But I don't really worry about the haters. I don't really worry about what anybody thinks. Ultimately, again, it's just ignorance. I know more about boxing than anybody I speak to, and I feel like I do that, and I know that, and I don't have to worry about what anybody else thinks about what I know about boxing, because I know it very well. And I know it sounds arrogant, but either you agree with me and know that I'm right, or you disagree with me and become stupider. It's very simple. I give you the option. I give you the option to learn and to teach you about this thing called boxing. I'll give it to you raw, upfront, and real. If you don't want to listen to it, if you don't want to take it for the reality that it is, and you want to become stupider to it, it's fine. You want to stay naive to it, it's fine. I'll give it to you raw and cut. It's up to you to get educated or not.
Well, that's how we love it here on the Boxing Voice, the voice of the people. And thank you again. I'm going to go ahead and get to some other callers, Paulie, but it's been a pleasure.
All right. Tell the haters to be easy, not to raise their blood pressure, because I'm not raising mine. I'm nice and chilled. About to go record my podcast now. Later.
All right, brother. Well, there you have it. Straight from Paulie Malignaggi, as you know, fighter. He just worked the corner with Saddam Ali, announcer, very knowledgeable. And now we have to take his prediction from 5 years, not with a grain of salt, but as fact, because he called it exactly the way it was.